Chapter 23, Under the Sun, commences with a quote by Sidney J. Harris. Men make counterfeit money, but in many more cases, money makes counterfeit men. Some commentators see Ecclesiastes as one of the most depressing books in the Bible. And I guess if everything we do on earth is meaningless, vanity and a chasing after the wind, it sure sounds depressing and hopeless. Solomon did what is presented as an end-of-life stocktake of all the wonderful things he had seen, experienced and accomplished, and when he wrote up the balance, it came to zero. The sum total of it all was meaninglessness and vanity. Life had no rhyme, life had no reason. He could find no meaning in life under the sun. Hopeless. Let's just remind ourselves once again of each of the areas in which Solomon searched for significance and satisfaction. Great accomplishments, hard work and a successful career, learning, pleasure, popularity and fame, and wealth. None of them is intrinsically good or evil, but they are all transitive, only ever able to provide shallow, temporary satisfaction. After having seen and learned and experienced so much, one might expect that Solomon's ultimate advice would be long-winded and complicated. However, the conclusion of his years of research is really quite simple, and he gives it to us in Ecclesiastes chapter 12, verse 13. Let us hear the conclusion of the whole matter. Fear God and keep his commandments, for this is the whole duty of man. The New King James Version of Solomon's conclusion is even more all-encompassing. It says that fearing God and keeping his commandments is actually man's all, our everything. And let's not forget that Solomon's conclusion is strikingly similar to Moses' last words to the Israelites, where he described God's laws as not just idle words for you, they are your life. Is that depressing? Having to live our lives by someone else's set of commands? Well, if our goal is to try and find fulfillment in material things and transitory experiences, then this conclusion should make us as miserable as a cat in a cold bath. However, as Christians, we should actually feel relieved when we read Ecclesiastes. It should be a joyful book for us. Think about it. If true happiness and satisfaction could only be found in completely indulging all of our heart's desires on this earth, how many of us could ever hope to be truly happy, truly satisfied? Who of us can afford to do what Solomon was able to do and indulge every one of our whims? What Solomon tells us in the end is that anyone can find fulfillment and satisfaction in life. That's because anyone can choose to serve God. With apologies to the 1950s television game show, we now need to ask the $64,000 question, the answer for which will either make or break Solomon's whole argument. Drum roll, please. Here it is. Does fearing God and keeping his commandments bring satisfaction? We should be able to look at ourselves and see the answer, though this will certainly depend on where you and I are at spiritually at the moment. Are our lives abundant? Are we reaping the rewards of following God's way of life? Have we begun to enjoy the benefits of keeping God's commandments? Let's take a quick ecclesiasticized look at the 10 Commandments in Exodus 20. Could keeping them, as Solomon highly recommends, truly bring satisfaction? Well, the first, second and third commandments, if we love God and worship him alone, we will reap the peace and wholeness that so many people are missing today as they race around seeking other gods and other things to worship. So we can place a check against those 3. Every Sabbath, we enjoy the benefits of keeping the 4th commandment, including physical rest, time with our families, fellowship with our friends, and communion with and instruction from God. Check again. If we have happy families and marriages, we are reaping the benefits of keeping the 5th and 7th commandments about honouring our parents and being faithful in marriage. Check, check. The 6th, no explanation needed about the benefits of not murdering people. Check. If people find us trustworthy, we will be rewarded with friends and respect for keeping the 8th and 9th commandments about stealing and honesty. Check, check. Practicing the 10th commandment about avoiding coveting and jealousy makes us truly satisfied and content regardless of our circumstances, and it gives us peace of mind. Check. When we have a real relationship with Christ and practice His presence, we will know that the God-respecting, commandment-keeping life is definitely abundant living, no matter what our circumstances. Life will be full of meaning and truly satisfying. But if we choose to live without fearing God and without keeping His commandments, then Ecclesiastes' void of meaninglessness will gnaw at our souls and suck the true pleasure out of each day. We will just be living our days under the sun, which is also known as without God. So it really is up to me. Will I live the whole, meaningful and satisfying life of significance that God has promised? Or will I just live under the sun? A half life. What about you? Whole or half?